bounce, and screw it, guys.
Johnny,
Gotta go
I don't
Chicago.
He's in Chicago, probably eating ketchup-covered hot dogs right now. I mean,
is that what they do in Chicago? I thought that was the. Oh, you mean like he would be doing it because he's socially inept? I get it. I got it.
Yes, because he loves Chicago. It's like Michael Scott when he's like, "This is my favorite pizza place." Johnny goes up with like a fucking Oscar Mayer. He's like, I really like the dogs here." Oh my god, I don't miss him. Do you miss him? Like, how do you miss something like that?
Well, I mean, it feels like something's missing. Like the punching bag that we both use is gone now, and now we have to look at each other and go, "Am I the punching bag, or are you the punching bag this week?" I'm not. I don't know. We don't have that.
You're going to hear for some time. This is it. This is the night. This two friends hanging out, having a grand old time. Hey, it is currently March 9th. 2022. This is episode 263, The Casual Hour, a podcast ostensibly about video games, but mostly about Johnny being on assignment. I'm Bobby Pease. Joining me because they're professional, because they're a friend, and because they're sexy. Chase Kinnicky, the gamer on the go. Chase, how are you?
I'm feeling very sexy now.
You've brought sexy back.
Now that I've been told, now I feel it. All right.
We got a big show tonight. Even though Johnny's not here, we're going to talk about a few things. So let's just kind of outline the show for you all. We're going to cover that new Kirby Forgotten Lands demo. We're going to get an update on Triangle Strategy from Chase. I've been playing Far Changing Tides. I'm going to talk about that and a new game that came out today called Ignited Steel. But really, the back half of our show tonight is going to be pretty loaded as we've got a lot of news ranging from the new Pokemon announcement to Epic and Bandcamp. We're going to talk about the PlayStation State of Play and some delays that have been hitting the games that we're excited about, or maybe not so excited about. So tune in, buckle in. We've got a lot of show to cover tonight, and it's going to get real cozy with just Chase and I. So Chase, I think I've covered all that needs to be addressed this evening. Right. The one thing I will say this, it'll come up later on in the show, but we're a video game show. We've had to do this a few times with varying degrees, and I'm not equipped enough to handle this conversation. I just want to say we're really thinking about everybody in Ukraine and what's happening over there. It's just fucking awful, and I don't have like a big platform to stand on and condone people and all that shit, but we are thinking of those folks that are impacted by that, and we hope for peace and safety here from this show.
Yeah, and it can be hard to know how to help in this situation. One of the things you can do, itch.io has that huge bundle of games. I mean, we are a video game show, so we're going to talk about some video games, and similar to the ways they've done things for Black Lives Matter, there is another huge game bundle that has, over 1,000 games at this point. Some really good stuff in there too. Celeste, I know, is in there.
Big ones. I'm linking to the chat
Super
right
Hot
now.
is in there. Super Hot, which is
a game, Backbone Crosscode, which we've talked about on here before.
Yeah, sure.
Kingdom 2 Crowns, Goner, which I checked out. We've looked at that before. Mm-hmm. Super Hot, as you were talking about, that's a huge.
And what
game.
Is it? It's only like $10, right?
It's $10. Did it go up? And I think that they had a pretty modest goal. Currently, as we record this on the 9th of March, it's at $3,246,000, and they've stretched the goal out to $4 million. And you get 992 items for $10 regularly. That would cost you about $6,553. So you're saving 99%, and it's going towards supporting Ukraine right now.
Yeah. So that's a pretty cool thing you can do.
All DRM free too.
And even if you got the Black Lives Matter bundle, which I'm sure has quite a few of these games overlapping.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, it's another good cause, and there are definitely some new things on here as well. So,
hey, there's worse
ways.
That's
a good way to, for sure, and it's going to a good cause.
Going to a good cause.
Anyway, why don't we talk about some games that we've actually been playing, Bobby? How's that sound?
I can't wait to talk about this one.
Yeah? Should we just start with Kirby?
Let's just start with Kirby.
So we got a Kirby demo, and the Kirby and the Forgotten Land, name of the title. New upcoming Switch game. When does it come out? That's soon, right? That's
25th, I think.
25th.
Mm-hmm.
So we got a taste. what is it? Three levels, 4 levels?
It's like
Not much. It's a
like
short demo.
2 levels in a boss fight.
Yeah. It's a pretty short demo. There are only like 3 or 4 powers that I think you get.
Yeah. Well,
not counting any mouthfuls.
Or like
Its
you want
own,
to
its
like the
own thing.
evolved versions of them.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, that's true. Anyway, let's get into it here. So it is a 3-dimensional Kirby game, which is a rarity. We haven't seen a 3D Kirby
outside of Smash, really.
Yeah, well, like even Smash is on a 2D plane.
Yeah,
like all the Kirby games have been 2D in some sense. Even the ones that had 3D polygons, like the Nintendo 64 one.
This is the first one.
Yeah, it seems like something Kirby would have done before, but I guess not. I mean, I guess if you count Kirby's golf, no, not what's it called? Not Pinball Land, the golf one. Kirby's
oh, I don't know.
Kirby Golf Dream Course, Kirby's Dream Course. That one technically takes place in a 3D space, and I guess so does Tilt and Tumble. And anyway, doesn't matter. This is Kirby in. This is Kirby by way of Mario, and from this demo, I think it's kind of nailing it. It's not Mario Odyssey in the way that there are big worlds and you're running around this big world and doing stuff. It is still extremely Kirby. This is a level and you are playing this level, but from an inventiveness standpoint, from a exploration kind of standpoint, I think it's hitting on a lot of those same things, and I think it's actually a really good demo that people should check out.
I loved it, and I don't have a ton of experience with Kirby. I would say I like Kirby, but I'm not like a huge fan. I can't probably name a lot of the games that Kirby has been in, but there was something about the setting of this one that I just thought looked pretty, like why would Kirby be in a post-apocalyptic world where there's no humans? Like that's kind of weird, right? This game looks like The Last of Us adjacent, and
and the game's not going to explain it to you either. Like Kirby is in his home world, and then he just gets sucked into another dimension, and hey, that dimension's a post-apocalypse. Sorry, that's it.
I think that the spirit of like a Mario is here for sure, and I think that if you, I shouldn't say like if you like Mario, like Kirby, but from a game feel standpoint, I think it was pretty snappy. It plays well on the Switch. Like most of these first party titles look and feel really good on that platform. It does offer a local co-op, which I think could be fun to play with Sarah and check some of this out. I think because it's pretty. I did fire up a second controller just to see what that looked like, and it's pretty realized. But I think the abilities are fun, and I alluded to it earlier, but there will be a mechanism to upgrade in this full release, but they do have some of the evolved versions of those powers. If you beat the game, they kind of give you like a new demo plus, and you can turn those evolutions on and check the game out. It's also worth noting on the demo that there's going to be in-game rewards for the full release, and they give you 2 codes, one for completing it, and I think the other one is for completing it on a second playthrough.
Wild. No, you have to complete it on wild mode.
So that's the only way I played it. I thought...
Yeah, same here.
I played it that way, and I got 2 codes. There might be a code if you play it completely on co-op, so I'm going to see if Sarah wants to do that and what that would be. But I think it oozes the charm that you would expect from first-party Nintendo. I like the way it feels, looks, and sounds, and plays. Like I was already a day one pickup for me, but it's high up there for my releases this month. I'm really excited for it.
I was pretty impressed. The thing I was worried about most was how would Kirby really how would Kirby's attacks specifically translate to a 3-dimensional space? Because a lot of his attacks, like the cutter attack, is a projectile. He's got a sword power that he can get. There's the ice stuff, but a lot of Kirby's abilities, I was just thinking, are these really going to work? Am I going to be able to hit enough area on a lot of these attacks? And I think the game does a pretty good job of. It's not necessarily a lock-on, but I think there's just enough aim assist that the game is passively doing for you that your attacks are mostly going to connect, and it's going to work out basically just fine. And it felt the way I wanted it to feel, and so that was my big worry. And it's like, okay, then they took care of that. I don't have to worry about this.
It does. It didn't feel like I had to spend a lot of time looking for an enemy, which was a good thing for sure.
And at least these levels really linear. You're not going to get lost. They're really pushing you down a specific path. It does have, hey, maybe you can go this way and explore and find a little thing. But for the most part, it is a very guided experience. Kirby games have generally been very easy and guided, but this one I think is totally in that vein as well. It's just that I don't mind it. Even playing on the wild mode, which is the hard Kirby,
but more coins and stuff too, right?
Do what?
You're supposed to get more coins, I believe, and like higher risk, more reward also.
But also it's not a risk. Like there's no risk. That game is not hard at all. And it does keep one kind of classic Kirby thing that is both heartwarming that they keep it and a little annoying that they haven't done anything with it, is when you fight a boss, it's almost always better to not have a copy ability attached.
I know. I didn't. Well, I shouldn't say I know that way. I learned in this demo that anytime that there would be stars thrown out from a boss, I'm like, that's doing a lot more damage than anything I have currently. Yeah. And when I actually played through it tonight. I went to do the boss battle on wild mode because I wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything with that. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try one of these evolved powers and see what I could do. And I ended up like, I'm chipping away here. It's going to be a little bit longer, but I want to beat the boss with this. And one of the evolved versions of the ice ability, you make snowmen after you hold it down, and then you can knock those snowmen and they become projectiles.
Sure.
And I did that on the boss battle, and it was fine. It was a good time.
Yeah. But like those abilities, even the powered up ones, are still barely chipping away at those health bars, and it really is just more efficient to play the boss fight the way they intended, I suppose, and just take the stars and shoot the stars back out at them, and that'll do it. One other thing that I was really impressed with is the amount of abilities that you get, or the amount of moves you get per ability. In a lot of Kirby games, especially the older ones, I think some of the newer ones have increased the moveset as well. But you do a lot of stuff with every single power. It's not just, hey, I've got the firepower and all I do is blow fire. Right. You get kind of a full moveset with each of those abilities and can take advantage of them in fun ways. And even the charge abilities will then do more stuff. Like the one that I thought was really neat was the bomb.
Yes.
So the regular bomb, when you get that, you just kind of roll those bombs out. You can also hold them and throw them in a different trajectory instead of just bowling ball style them. But the charged one that you can get, you can lay down multiple bombs and they'll link. And so it's almost like using Anarchy in Destiny 2, where you just put those things down and then they chain lightning.
It's fucking
exactly
dirty.
It's cool. I'm not 100% sure how usable it'll be, if there will be specific challenges that I'll want that bomb power on, but it's just neat that there is extra functionality to that that's not just, oh, I hit the B button. You know, in Smash Brothers when you're playing as Kirby, it's just the B button that you get to that you copy. And I feel like a lot of Kirby games have felt that way too, where I get the one move. This one, you get a whole suite of moves, and I think it just feels really nice.
The second level, there's a mini boss that you would fight, where it's just a bunch of the enemies spawning like two at a time. So the second playthrough, I knew where they were coming from, and I had that evolved version. And I just laid out those two linked bombs on the sides, and they were just popping as soon as they. I mean, it was really dirty, but it was a cool thing for sure.
Nice. So yeah, that's coming out the 25th. Excited to play that. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Good. It's a good one. It's a good time.
Yeah, I'm really. I was already like I mentioned, super excited about it, but now I am very much looking forward to playing that one. It's going to be a good time.
As for other games that I've been playing, we can keep this kind of short. We've done a quick look on it. Um, we've talked about it plenty already. But Triangle Strategy, it's out.
Sure.
I've been playing past the prologue demo at this point.
How many hours are you at this point?
Maybe 10, maybe 10.
Okay.
I don't feel like I've played a ton of it. And from what I've heard, it's maybe about 30 hours per playthrough. So it seems like it's relatively short for one of these kinds of games.
Yeah.
But also, I think that plays into its favor because the whole idea is that you can make decisions that seem to make an actual difference. And I think this might be a game that I could play multiple times. But I've been kind of trying to keep myself in the dark on a lot of these games. When I think of strategy games like Fire Emblem, I usually will end up looking up guides on, okay, how do I get all the characters? I want to make sure I don't miss anything on this playthrough.
Yeah.
But there's something about Triangle Strategy that makes me go, you know what? I'm just going to play this my way and see what I get. And maybe it's because it's so short that I don't mind. Hey, if I miss anything, maybe I'll catch it up on the next time. Whereas something like Fire Emblem, or especially Super Robot Wars, because those games are so long, I want to know how to do everything, because there's no goddamn way I'm playing that game again for a while.
That makes sense.
But I'm liking it. I'm generally liking it.
I was going to ask, because like I can sense in our quick look, which that is up youtube.com/casual hour. You can watch that now. During our quick look, you seem to be more on it than I had anticipated. And I don't say that to be like, hey, you said you didn't like this game or anything like that, but I could just sense that maybe you were struggling to gravitate to this at the same level that you were hoping to. But now it seems like maybe you're warming up to it a little bit more than what I at least perceived.
I am warm to it with some pretty deep caveats. I'm not. I don't think this is the best game that came out this year, and I wonder if it'll even make my top 10 at the end. But for now, I'm having fun, and I think that's for a combination of a couple of reasons. One of them is that I've knocked this down to the easiest setting. It has a lot of mechanical things, and I've mentioned this before, so we can keep that part brief. But it has a lot of mechanical things that I don't really like. It has the idea where you need to face your unit after you do your move, which I feel like it makes it really easy for enemies to backstab you and get extra damage. There's no counterattacking, or there's very limited counterattacking in the game, and I think that just makes the everything very, very slow. In other games of this kind of genre, usually if you attack something, the enemy will get a chance to attack you back, and it just leads to more action. So if an enemy attacks you on their phase, you're able to attack back and sometimes kill on that, which just means fewer turns. Whereas this game, you're going to go through all these turns. I don't like the way the turns work and the turn order works. So I do have a lot of issues with some of those more mechanical things. But I'm playing it on very easy for that reason. And I'm having a good time with it. It still has a couple of moments where like, ooh, that hurt. That did some damage. But it's never a case of, oh God, I hate this and I wanna stop playing because I have made it easy. The other thing is I think it has a really interesting cast of characters, both from writing. I think they're relatively well written characters, but more so mechanically. Every character seems to have a very specific kind of role. Even characters that have similar roles perform them in very different ways. So at the moment, I have 2 mages on my team. One of them is
black mage, white mage.
Well, one of them is specifically fire. She's a fire mage. She can hit big areas. She can put flame shields on people. She's got a very specific niche. Well, actually, she doesn't. She's relatively generalized. She can do attacks. She can do support. She kind of has her place where she can do a lot of things. I got another mage just recently who can use all the elements. He's got a wind attack, he's got a fire attack, he's got an electricity attack. Basically, yes, his powers are combined.
Shit.
So he can take advantage of some incredible magic skills, but he doesn't have any sort of support that I've seen. But he just has all of these crazy skills that I can use, and I've gotten to the point where it's like I actually like both of these mages. Whereas sometimes you might go, oh well, I only need one mage, especially in, and I'm sorry I keep bringing it up, but Fire Emblem, you're gonna have, okay, I've got this person in the mage class. I think I do, but I also think it's just a really good example of the genre. And in that game, you kind of get to a point of, okay, I've got this one mage. I don't really need another mage because they're kind of just doing the same job. Right. And I really only need to feed kills to one of them. And in this game, I have reasons to use both of those mages at any one time. And so it's like, okay, I only might get 9 or 10 slots for soldiers for this battle, but I kind of want to bring in both of these mages because I think they both have their place. Similarly, I've got a couple different healer options, but one of them is on a horse, which means she can travel further, but she also is more of a battle healer, battle cleric kind of thing, or she can do some damage. She can do some area of effect damage, and she can do like a big sweeping attack that hits 3 enemies in front of her. And everybody seems to have this have their own kind of thing that feels really unique. And I'm just really enjoying that. I'm really enjoying finding new characters. The last one I got is this merchant guy who's kind of this two-faced asshole. But he's got an ability where he's able to either charm enemies into lowering their own attack, or I guess the powered up version that I haven't unlocked yet is he'll even be able to have enemies defect to your side, I guess for a couple turns or maybe even for the whole battle. And that just seems, it's like, okay, this guy sucks at combat, but he's got some skills that are so unique and interesting that maybe I will bring him in for a couple of rounds and see if he's usable on some of this stuff. Maybe he'll end up being one of my favorite characters. Maybe he won't. But I think because they have so many varied characters, it really lets you find your own kind of play style. And that and that's been really, really neat to me.
Hearing you talk about like the unique abilities, I know we're going to get something kind of like this, I think, maybe with Midnight Suns, but hear me out. Cell shaded, make it look like the fucking 90s cartoon, an X-Men Fire Emblem style game.
Sure, I'm not against it.
That would be so, like, they could do so many things with the story and like the synergy that would happen between the mutants on the battlefield, and like that would be fucking awesome.
Yeah. You have a favorite X-Man, Bobby?
I really like Colossus. I know that
You would.
Yeah. I think that
big
he's
guy,
really cool.
Made of steel. You have so much in common.
We are the same person practically.
You really are.
I like Colossus a whole lot. I like his dry sense of humor quite a bit. Of course, I think Wolverine growing up was just fucking awesome. I mean, a berserk with claws and like an indestructible body. I thought that was really cool. That period specifically, like late 80s, early 90s X-Men, I think looked really neat. So make that game.
I like all the lame X-Men, or I did when I was growing up. Like the two I liked are Cyclops, because I liked him specifically because I would play him in the fighting games, and I really liked his he was pretty good. Like all of his optic blast stuff was pretty cool. And I think he looked really good in games like X-Men versus Street Fighter and Marvel vs. Capcom 2. I just think he had a great look. I'm really disappointed he hasn't shown up in any of the, not current, but any of the later entries of the Marvel vs. Capcom series, because I think he's just a good fighting game character. And the other one I like, who has become significantly lamer because of the X-Men movies, is Iceman. I was always a big Iceman fan. Again, because of the fighting games, I really liked the way he can just turn his fist into a boulder or a hammer or something and hit people that way. I like he also had a lot of really good ranged moves as well. And yeah, watching those X-Men movies, I'm like, ah, fuck, Iceman is so fucking
Dude,
lame.
what about
This guy
Gambit though?
sucks.
Gambit's cool.
Gambit's cool for sure. I like Gambit. That's
Would he be
great.
a
I
sniper? You think
also
he'd be a sniper, or could he be a sniper?
no, he's got that bow staff. He wants to be up close and personal, but
Yeah, he's
he
like a
would be like
rogue.
up close and personal, but he would have like a mid-range thing where he can use the cards.
Yeah,
Maybe he would be like somebody who can go stealth with
yeah.
his kind of
Him and
roguish
Nightcrawler.
nature. Yeah,
Yeah.
I could see that. Yeah.
No,
I also like Psylocke. Again, this is
Psylocke's
totally because of
awesome.
the fighting games. Psylocke was a big fan. I was
really
a big fan
cool.
of Psylocke, and yeah. So
Damn.
yeah,
That
I
would
could
be
see that.
that would be a cool game.
I'm interested to see what Midnight Suns is. I mean,
Me
you've
too,
got the
man.
makers of XCOM in there, so it kind of can't be bad. But
It sounds like it's gonna
I
have like some deck
also,
building stuff too.
yeah, I wonder how that'll fit.
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm pretty superheroed out at the moment, though we did both go see Batman
I've seen it twice.
on this last weekend. Oh, of course, you've seen it twice. That's 6 hours of your life, man.
Dude,
what are you doing?
I would give another 6. I April 19th can't get here soon enough. That's when it hits HBO Max. And
It's a really good movie. I'm surprised at how much I enjoyed it.
did you see the news today that they're going to do a limited series on Penguin? Matt Reeves is coming for it. Colin Farrell will be there. A few other people that produced it, and it's going to be, I think, kind of him taking over what Falcone had in that period and building that up. So we'll see. But I saw a statistic today that Something in the Way by Nirvana is up by 12,000% in streams right now based off that movie, which
I believe it.
yeah, it's good. It's a good movie. We had
It is a good movie.
We got to hang out
Like,
IRL. That was a really good time.
even from the guy who is exhausted, completely exhausted by superhero movies, I still had a really good time with that movie.
I would love to talk about it more. I don't want to spoil anything because there's moments that I still think about since seeing it last Thursday. That I'm just like, holy shit, that was just so well done, like incredibly well
I
done.
think bringing in Schwarzenegger to do that Mr. Freeze cameo was a pretty inspired bit of casting.
Chill. Chase, outside of Triangle Strategy, anything else you want to mention?
I mean, I've played a little bit more Super Robot Wars. It's still that game. I really need to get back into Gibbon. I had a really good time playing that, and I want to keep going. I want to finish that.
We should do a quick look at that one.
Yeah, that'd be fun. I can see that. But that's basically it. Bobby, what have you been up to other than Kirby?
I've actually, so I'll just put it out there. I'm still playing a shit ton of Horizon. I've been playing some Elden Ring here and there too, but I'm really just
Bobby, Johnny's not here. You don't need to pretend to play Elden Ring.
But playing a lot of Horizon. I've made it pretty much to California, and it's really cool the different biomes they've done there. So that game continues to just wow me. Literal jaw-dropping moments on just the vistas that they've made there.
Where does that game start?
I want to say that you start.
If you're about to California, like, are you on the East Coast, or are you just
no? Well, I mean,
Colorado?
you made it to like the fringe of Colorado in the first game.
Okay.
So getting through that, and then there, like I've seen more deserts. I've seen some like wintry mountain regions. I've seen borderline jungles, and hitting the coastline was really cool. And the types of creatures there. But I've played 2 games I want to talk about tonight. The first one I want to talk about is a game called Far Changing Tides. This is the sequel to Far Lone Sail that came out 2 or 3 years ago. That game takes place post-apocalyptic. The first game, you are in this like land barge, maybe a train, some sort of big giant machine that has some sails on it, but also has an engine that you are maintaining. This game, from where I'm at in it, is set in and underwater, and you are doing the same thing. You're in a post-apocalyptic setting. This one feels like it's more. It's got a very like Paris, France vibe to it. Like maybe you're in like the ruins of Paris, and you can see that there's been destruction, like it's flooded. You see some clotheslines there, but you play an unnamed protagonist. And I'll say right out of the gate, like these games are. What if you took a Playdead game and added some like tinkering into it, like some. I don't want to say it's like a Spirit Fair or anything like that, but you are keeping tabs on your vessel and where I'm at, and you'll get things that add more complexity to your vessel as you play through the game. And the first game's about 4 hours long. I've probably put about an hour and a half into this game so far. It is on Game Pass. I'm playing this on PC, but like I have a sail that I can go up and pull, and then I can change where those sails would line up, and that would get me more speed to this. But one of the cool things about this is that you get outfitted with a diving suit. And so you can go in the water and you have a really cool spin move, and you are able to explore at any moment. You can hop off your ship. And like a Playdead game, there are puzzle aspects that you're going to need. And usually those pop up whenever your ship is no longer able to progress forward. And an example would be, this is slight spoilers for anybody, so if you don't want to hear it, pause, come back. You get into this building that you can't get your ship through, and you'll find that there's a crane blocking it. You have to figure out how to get up to the crane and move the crane's arm. Or I'm sorry, not a crane, but it's a logging facility, and there's a slide where the logs would come down into the water that's blocking your path. You have to figure out how to move that. But on your ship, let's call it a ship for this one, you do have an engine or some sort of like fire or coal powered engine that you're grabbing things out of the water to bring onto your ship that you will then convert into fuel. And you do that by jumping up and down on, I think, is it called a billow that you use to like fan?
Bellows.
Yeah. So you have a giant bellow that as you jump on it, it powers these oars that are on your ship whenever there's not a wind, or if you're in an environment where you can't get your mast all the way up. But when you do that, you might have your engine starts to overheat. Well, you have a fire hose on your, so you have to go grab the hose, run over, and cool off your engine. That is the type of, like, it is busy work in that sense. Like, you're maintaining all these spinning plates, and I mean, you all know me. I love that shit. So it's very
Nobody
cool.
spins plates like Bobby.
Bobby spinning plates. But there's something very, like, just like the first game, there's no dialogue. It is pure environment. And the way that this studio, and it's slipping my mind, and I feel really bad about that right now, but the studio behind it has conveyed emotion to the same way that like games like Florence, games like Gris or Greece, however we pronounce that.
Mm-hmm. I was going to mention Greece.
Yeah, the environmental storytelling that's happening. I mean, even Playdead, they do a really great job with that also. Creating a time and space in these environments. There was a moment in this one that like is already on my list for like a best moment contender for the year. And I was completely like caught off guard by it. And it was just really impactful and really well done. And I can already tell you that I'm falling for this game in a way that I fell for the first one, which I had a very like deep passion for that game. It was very impressive. I enjoyed it a lot. I can't say enough good things about it. I'm so pumped that it's on Game Pass. I would have paid for it anyway. I think it's like 15 or 20 bucks. But playing this on PC right now, and just loving it. Far Changing Tides. Check it out.
The developer is Okamotive. Okay, Motive. Yeah, I think my hesitancy to playing this series has been the idea that I feel like you're going to be tethered to your vehicle. And you mentioned there are times where you get off, and especially in Changing Tides, where you're going down in your diving suit and swimming, going around to solve a puzzle that then just opens the door. Are there times where you kind of abandon your ship for some reason and then it just kind of catches back up with you, or are you always going back and getting back on your ship?
So you have to be back on your ship.
Yeah.
And I got to a spot where you'll find tools also. Um, so you'll find a welder that has a limited energy use. So like if you bust something on your ship, you can go and weld it, and it's a very generic way of repairing. I also found a lamp, but you'll find like briefcase. You'll find these these keepsakes also. Like I don't know if there's a need to do this, but I I've created this weird head cannon in this game already, and at the beginning of the game, you're going through it, and you come to what I believe to be was your home. And on the wall in this place, there is a painting of a woman holding this plant. Well, I found the plant, and I decided that like I'm gonna take this with me. Nothing in the game told me to do that,
Yeah.
but I've carried this plant with me now, and it's on my ship, and I could throw it in the fire and make it fuel. And I got to a spot in the game where I ran out of fuel, and I didn't have anything around me, which is kind of uncommon, that I could just swim out and grab to bring back into it.
Oh, you had to
And
make a hard decision.
the game didn't even fucking tell me to do this though. Like this was completely self-imposed. Like I didn't have anything left in my house, but I had this plant that I don't even know if this was my place. It could have been a stranger's place, but in my head, this was my apartment, my house
Yeah.
that had been flooded. I
This is
found
just
this
your
plant.
little souvenir that you had that you were hanging on to, your little mascot.
Yeah, and I'm like, I want this to be on my ship with me. If I'm going to leave this life and move ahead and survive, like this was my tether to what once was. And so I could not do it. I would not allow myself to throw it in the fire. And I swam ahead for a really absurd amount of time and came back and did that. But again, I ended up throwing a welder in the fire. I just so I could save this plant. And like again, like
Sure.
it's not asking me to do that, but I did this. Like that was a decision I made, and it's changed the game for me.
Yeah. You know, Half-Life 2, the DLC for it had a similar thing where you had that gnome that you could put in your car, and it didn't really fit perfectly in your car. You couldn't just easily set it there and it would lock in place. You had to kind of finagle it with the physics and just baby it the whole way. And you didn't nobody thought that you had to do that. It wasn't something that the game put in your face and went, "Hey, here's gnome mode. Try to bring the gnome with you." But if you did, if somebody went around and played that whole DLC chapter, that episode 2, I believe it is. If you played all of episode 2 and you brought that gnome to the final thing, and I think it's a rocket, and if you put the gnome in the rocket, you got an achievement for it. And it's just this little thing. Like the game's not telling you to do it. It sounded very similar, where it's like that's just a little challenge to yourself of, hey, I can pick up that gnome. Maybe I should bring my gnome friend with me. And then can you play the whole game basically with your little gnome friend and go through a bunch of extra challenge and a bunch of bullshit.
Sure.
That's self-imposed bullshit to make this funny little story happen. And then yeah, it absolutely does. I mean, other games do similar things. I almost made a Fire Emblem reference and then I didn't. So you're welcome. You're welcome, everyone. But yeah, I think the thing I struggle with, I mentioned the being tethered to the ship. I think the other games you've mentioned, Grease and the Playdead games, those games do such a good job of taking you through space. And it always feels like you're progressing and always feels like you're moving forward. And I think there's some idea that, okay, if I was on the ship and making progress, that's great. And then the idea that I have to get off the ship and go do a thing just so I can get back on the ship and then go, another 10 yards until the ship stops again, and then I have to go do another thing. Maybe. And from the way you're making it sounds like it's not a big deal. But that sounds repetitive to me when I hear it in like a concept pitch, and it makes it hard for me to go, ooh, maybe that's for me.
So another game, and I haven't beat it, and I spent the time I spent with it. I definitely could see some correlation. Is Kentucky Route Zero,
Mm,
where the puzzles are not nearly as complex, and the time in those puzzles is not nearly as the same length. But this idea of like traveling between these points, and there's something interesting to do to progress to the next point is there.
yeah.
So it's like a Play Dead meets Kentucky Route Zero in a way. Um, that
And you know what? That's a great counterpoint. I love Kentucky Route Zero, and yet that game does have a lot of backtracking bullshit. Like, hey, walk this slowly up this mountain, go
yeah
talk to this one woman and watch a weird TV, and then yep, we're gonna make you walk all the way back down. And so, but sometimes they cut and go,
yeah
okay, you don't need to do this extra part. We're gonna move on to this new chapter. But yeah, there is some backtracking that game forces you to do, and yet I still love it. So maybe I should just not have such a weird hang up and go
I
play
don't know,
this
man.
game.
Like, I think that you can get it on. I know you can get the first one on Switch. I think on Steam they have a bundle
Yeah.
right now where you can get both. Um, you obviously like. I will let you know. How about that? I will let you know if I think that this is a game that you should check out this year.
Okay. I mean,
Uh,
I would like to play the first. And I probably would have bought it too if I had caught it when it was on sale for like $3. But
I
apparently,
think
I
it'll
just
it'll
missed the
be there
sale.
again this year.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So
Um,
I put it on my wish list, and I'll just hang out and see what happens.
so another thing that I've been checking out, and I don't have a ton to report here right now because it just came out 12 hours ago. If you on March 9th. But a game that we have a quick look that, depending on if you're watching this right now or if you're listening to this, is live on our YouTube channel for Ignited Steel. Ignited Steel stands on the shoulders of Into the Breach. It is a pixel based mech roguelike that rip or not rips, but I don't say rips off, but definitely like
I
wears
mean, it kind of rips it off. I mean, you mentioned a few things like yes, it is mechs, yes, it is roguelikey, and yes, it's pixel based, but it's also a turn based strategy game.
yeah.
It's also got an isometric camera perspective. Like it's absolutely Into the Breach, but it
It's
also
F-
is a little FTL as well.
yeah,
So
for
it's like they
sure.
kind of ripped off two games, which is slightly better, I guess.
This was a demo that we checked out during the Steam Next Fest. The full release came out today. It's $15. Currently, it's on sale for like 12 for a promotion. But as we talked about, it is a squad-based mech turn-based tactics game. You are um, controlling up to 3 mechs at a time so far, maybe more as the game progresses. But currently, there's 3 mechs that you have complete freedom to customize everything down to like the paint schematic, but also the core, the main weapon, the secondary weapon, and the pilot for each mech. So I have 3 mechs unlocked right now, and I could outfit my entire squad with the same type of mech if I wanted, and differentiate them with paint or keep them all the same paint. You are acquiring loot at the end of each match. So you can do things that are going to be like a different primary weapon, secondary weapon, or a core. Some cores will trade off weight, and the big mechanic for this game has an overheat mechanic. And if you are overheated, you do more damage, you take more damage. But there's things in the environment that play into that as well. So you could be in a desert that's going to have a 50% increase in your heat accumulation, or you could be in a snow capped area where it's going to be a 50% decrease. Those types of things go into it. I just got a buff for this run, and they get in. So I finished like the first quote unquote run and got a buff that I could apply for my current run. And they gave me 3 choices. The one that I picked is I negate 75% of any damage you would normally take from being overheated.
Oh,
So
okay.
now I'm doing more damage while taking 75% less of what I normally would. And I have that tied to my pilot. It looks like there's levels for your pilots as well. I did just unlock a new pilot. There's got to be over a dozen pilots you can get in this game.
When you say leveling your pilot, is that something that you think is permanent across runs, or is that how roguelike-y, how rogue is the roguelike? That's my question.
I
How much
don't know
resets?
because I haven't ended my run yet on this first one. So you can save your run, and I'm in the middle of that right now. I'm doing pretty good actually on this run. My guess is that there's a currency that you get that's probably going to run out after a run because you can use that for health and you can buy new equipment. But as I mentioned, I've unlocked a new pilot, and when you get to a crossroads, it's like, okay, you're about to deploy your crew out. Do you want to change your pilots? I can't change my pilot. I think I can change the gender of my pilot at any given time, but I can't change the actual pilot. And I don't know because I haven't been able to select this pilot yet. I just unlocked a new pilot that maybe will have attributes that go into my overall run. So I will report back on that. And we're gonna. I think that we've agreed to this, but Monday night for Casual Mondays, we're gonna play this game on a stream, twitch.tv/casual hour, and that'll be this upcoming Monday. I think that's the 14th. So tune in for that if you want to check that out. But my love for Into the Breach is late because I did not appreciate it.
Oh yeah, it's definitely late. Man, we need to go back to Game of the Year, whatever it was.
I know.
What was it, 2018, 2019? Because
it'd be different for sure.
God damn it.
But I will say is that I'm much more equipped to make good decisions on planning and playing these games, and I am already, I can tell you, like, this is a really cool game. Like, if you're going to rip, I mean, we love Fights in Tight Spaces. That was my game of the year last year. It borrowed heavily from the themes in Into the Breach. This one is way more close to it because it is mechs again. But there's some cool stuff with it. I know it's coming to console. It's going to be on everything at some point in time, but currently it's only on Steam. I want to say it might be available for Mac, but I think it's definitely just on Steam currently.
Yeah, I think they've announced for consoles later this year, but they haven't given a specific date.
It's really cool. It's a cool game. I'm excited for us to dive into it.
Sorry, Bobby. No, nothing would have changed in 2018. Our winner was Monster Hunter World, and second place was God of War, and there's no chance in fucking hell you would have put Into the Breach over either of those games. So it would have just stayed the same.
It would have been probably a 3.
I mean, it did get 3. A 3 for you?
Yeah.
Maybe that could have affected something on the points thing. Maybe someday I'll go back to our 28. You know what? We got time. There's not a whole bunch of news. Let's go back to 2018. Game of the Year 2018. Let's relitigate it. Nothing like relitigating shit. If Bobby's game, oh god, it would have changed things significantly. It would have been a Game of the Year. Monster Hunter World got 19 points, God of War got 18, Into the Breach got 17, and Into the Breach was your number 10. So if it moved up above Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which who knows, maybe it could have, it would have won by a landslide. God damn it.
Hey, I'm better now, though.
That's true. Too little, too late, but I appreciate that you have evolved.
One thing I'll call out, I think this is the first game for this dev, and we'll move on to news after this. Even from the demo that we just checked out a week ago, the full release that just hit, they've completely revamped the sound effects, and they actually put a comparison video up on Twitter. I think it's a substantial improvement, but they're taking a lot of community feedback right now. They are actively working to invest into this game, and I think it's really cool. I think it's a really cool game. There's some neat mechanics with it, and I can already see how, like, building out your squad I could build, if you wanted to. We didn't even talk about this in the quick look, Chase, but I could make a full-on fucking healer if I wanted to. And I can have one of my mechs that's literally just focused on healing my other two and cooling them down. And so, like, they use action points in this, and I can You can even cool off your mech with an action point. It takes a third of your action points guaranteed, but I can usually like move, hit, cool down, and then set up the next attack to do like 3 attacks in a row. It's really, really something. So looking forward to playing more of that with you on Monday. We'll have a quick look up this week. If you're listening to this podcast as a podcast, go back to YouTube and check it out. And
Bobby, let me ask you one incredibly important question before we move on.
Yeah.
I'm trying to look it up now, but I'm not necessarily seeing it. Has this game been verified for Steam Deck?
You know what? I don't think it had. I have not seen it. Aren't they using a verified symbol?
I'm not sure what they do.
Are.
Okay.
Let me pull that up really quick. There's
I don't do enough Steam to know.
Deck verified.
Okay.
So if you go to steamdeck.com/en/verified, actually I can just put it in chat here. You can just click that.
Okay.
You can go through and see all verified games on Steam. And well, hey, I can tell you that Elden Ring and Far Changing Tides are both verified. Let me pull this up here. Ignited Steel. So currently it's not showing up as verified for it.
So maybe that's something that happens eventually.
Yeah, I mean, it just came out.
Maybe I'll just... Yeah, that's true.
Risk of Rain 2, however,
also,
verified.
I think I did know that.
Vampire Survivors, verified.
I did know that one as well. If I need to wait for a Switch version, I can wait for a Switch version. But if this thing works on a Steam Deck, I get mine's apparently coming in Q3, so we'll see. Maybe this thing will be verified by then. Anyway, that is Ignited Steel. I think it's really cool. I'm very much looking forward to us playing it on Monday, and getting to see a little bit more of that, because I was pretty impressed with that Steam demo.
Yeah, we had a good time. If you're listening to this, the demo's still up. Go check it out. And again, game currently on sale, $12. So worth checking out for sure. Chase, I have a question for you. Once upon a time on our show, you did the news before we passed it off to Johnny.
Well, as the only person with a journalism degree on the show, I think it made sense that I did the news. And
Let's do it again.
Johnny stole it from me because he's a bad person.
You're back on the news, man. And there's
back on the beat.
Back on the beat for the casual report. Chase, why don't you take us down the news? What do we got going on?
Sure. Bobby, I got a question for you. Do you want to start with the biggest story or the newest story?
Biggest.
Pokemon. That's
yes.
They announced more Pokemon. It was Pokemon Day. What was that? February 27th, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I assumed, okay, we'll probably get, maybe an announcement of some Legend Arceus DLC. Maybe there'd be some bullshit for Shining Pearl and Brilliant Diamond, and there was. I'm sure we'd see something for Pokemon Go, and we did. But we didn't get anything for Arceus. I take that back. There is you can get a mystery gift and get 30 of each of the best types of balls.
Didn't they say there's going to be more of the invasions or whatever they're called?
Did they? Yeah, maybe they did. I don't know. Nothing that really knocked my socks off. I'm like, ooh, new content or a new area to go to or anything like that. New Pokemon to catch or see. But the big news that they saved for last is, holy shit, they just announced the new Pokemon games, and they're coming out this year.
I don't think. I'm excited about this, right? But I do feel, I can't help but feel that that's going to cut into Arceus a little bit. I don't think that they maybe expected Arceus to be the runaway hit that it was.
Well, I believe that game also probably got delayed a bit because of COVID stuff. And this is probably about the time they wanted to put out Scarlet, Violet. Those are the names of the two new Pokemon games, by the way. So I imagine it's probably just something of catching back up on their cadence. I'm sure they had different teams working on both of those games, and it probably just ended up working out that way.
Sure.
But yeah, we're getting new Pokemon games in 2022. It seems to be a kind of Spain-like region,
It
and they showed
does.
off the starters. They didn't beat around the bush. They're just like, here are the 3 starters, and I think that's the way you should present any new Pokemon game. I think this was the best way they could have presented a new Pokemon game. I thought it looked pretty
Yes.
nice. I thought it's definitely still kind of
It's a new
that
style.
Sword and Shield look, but it does look more vibrant. It looks more colorful, and it looks more detailed. Like when you go around even something like Legends Arceus, and you go, man, some of this grass looks real bad.
Yep.
And I think for the most part, the grass looks kind of good in Scarlet Violet.
Hey,
So
the grass
we'll
is always
see.
greener in a new Pokemon game.
That's well, if you want grass, have I got a Pokemon for you? Sprigatito, the
Sprigatito
weed
says,
cat.
I am weed.
Yeah. So we got Sprigatito, the grass starter, grass cat. We've got Fuecoco, who is I guess like a chili pepper crocodile. I think that's what they're going for.
Pretty good.
It looks pretty good. And then Quaxley, the water duck with the pompadour, who's got a real
His
Donald
pompadour
Duck look.
turns into a leather jacket.
Man, can you imagine how great would that be if that duck just grows up to be
Became
a
into
greaser?
a fucking greaser, dude. Think about it.
That'd be so good. That'd be so
Alright,
good.
Chase, I've been waiting for you to talk about Pokemon tonight, and I need you
Okay.
to answer 3 questions for each Pokemon.
All right.
Well, it's 3
Love it.
questions, but it's the same question for each Pokemon.
Okay.
What I need to know is the final evolution of these Pokemon.
Okay.
2 things. 1, are they going to be fearsome or sexy? 2,
I mean,
Are
I
they-
don't think those are. I think you can be both.
you can be both.
As I
Good
exude.
answer. As you exude. Are they going to? Is it bipedal? Is that how you say? Like if they're
Mhm.
are they going to be
Yeah,
bipedal?
biped or a quadruped. Yeah.
And then I'd like for you, lastly, to announce what their other type set will be in conjunction to that.
Ooh, okay. I like these questions. I like these questions a lot. I did see. I didn't really consider that for
Okay.
either of those questions for a bit until I saw on Instagram. I rarely go on Instagram, but I was going through, and it wasn't even somebody I follow because Instagram is like 80% ads now as you go through
Yes.
it. But I saw one where somebody is like, "Oh, here's Sprigatito, and then here's my artist rendition of what the other 2 evolutions will be of it," and they showed off the final form, and I was like, "Okay, that looks like a kind of cool grass cat still," but also, there's no way that thing's gonna be on 4 legs, and that was just in my mind as I was looking through. I was like, no way, that thing's gonna stand up on hind legs at some point, and it's gonna be very much like an Incineroar kind of thing. 0% chance. So it's funny that you asked that now.
Yeah.
So yes, I think Sprigatito is going to grow up into a bipedal cat.
Okay. Sexy or fearsome?
I think probably more sexy, sultry. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to say dark.
I thought
wonder-
grass dark too, but that's what the last one was.
Was it?
Wasn't that the big drumming ape?
I don't think he was dark.
Okay.
Was he dark? I don't think
No,
so.
I'm thinking about the other one they added in later on. The other,
Yes, that weird monkey thing was grass
Yeah.
dark. You're right.
but I
Um,
think it'll be a jaguar.
Okay, I can see that. Sure. Yeah, like a jungle cat thing. Yeah, like there's. I wonder if maybe they wouldn't go dark because Incineroar was fire dark, and he
Yep.
was also a cat. They might not go. Oh, we should have another bipedal cat that's half dark type. Maybe I'm just imprinting more Incineroar than I thought onto Sprigatito. I think Fuecoco is definitely going to stay bipedal. It's gonna be closer. I think it's gonna feel pretty similar to the other crocodile Pokemon we got, No, Crocodile. Crocodile is the final
Yeah.
evolution. I think it'll look pretty similar to that. And then I think Quaxley is gonna.
You didn't say what his other
gonna
type would
just-
be for
right.
Coco.
They're not gonna do it. They're absolutely not going to do it. But I think if you're going to go through the whole chili pepper thing, you should make
Ghost
it
pepper.
fire grass. Well, that's a good thought. You make
ghost
it fire
pepper.
ghost. You make it fire ghost, and it's like a ghost pepper. Okay, I like that. I was gonna say because it's like a vegetable,
Yeah, I
you
know.
go fire grass, but there's no way you'd
No.
also make a starter one of the types of the other
I think
starters.
ghost fire, ghost pepper.
I like that. That's a cool idea. And then Quaxley, man, I also kind of want to say Quaxley would be dark. If we go the full greaser route, I want him to be like this edgy fucking duck. Fighting kind of makes sense too, but like I want to see this thing actually get a leather jacket.
Oh, that's what I'm saying, dude.
Actually, that'd be so good.
Wouldn't it be awesome if he just becomes like a full blown greaser?
I mean, that's not too far off from what
I
Sobble
know.
turned into, right? Like Sobble went from like, hey, I'm a cute little Pokemon to
Yeah.
like now I'm an assassin sniper Pokemon.
Yeah.
I could see Quaxley doing a similar kind of thing. I want to see Quaxley with like a lollipop in its bill, so it kind of looks like a cigarette.
Yes. Make him just an asshole. If you had to pick right now, who'd your starter be?
I'm going Fuecoco. I almost always go fire starter unless somebody really impresses me. And I'm not gonna say that Sprigatito and Quaxley are good looking Pokemon, but I'm sticking with the fire Pokemon.
Yeah.
I think that's the way I go.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm excited. I'm excited.
I'm also excited. I'm probably most interested to see how they square all of the additional stuff we've gotten.
Yeah.
I know. How do they respond to the way fans talked about Sword and Shield, where this doesn't have the whole Pokedex in it? I don't think they're going to put the whole Pokedex in this one either.
No,
because it is just too much of a challenge to get all that stuff done. Or maybe they could because they've already done a lot of the assets that they did with Sword and Shield. Maybe if they get to keep the assets but just up-res them a little bit, maybe that is a possibility. But there are still even questions about, okay, well, what do you do about, you have now Alolan forms and Galarian forms. What do you do with the Ultra Beasts from Sun and Moon? Like, there's lots of questions about how you make any of those things work. Some of those Pokemon. I mean, the Switch has an accelerometer, or at least the controllers do. So I guess you could do the what's the Pokemon that's like a psychic octopus squid thing?
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
But that Pokemon, you'd have to physically turn your 3DS over to make it evolve.
Yes.
And like that is something of like, okay, you have all these different kinds of things in there. How do you make them work in the next generation? And I'm interested to see what they do for something like that, of course. And then I just want to see all the new.
What really quick, if you could pick one, I'll let you do two tops, but a new form, regional form.
Okay.
You could pick.
Okay. Oh, I thought you were going in like an EV direction. Like, what's the next EV
like,
type we'll get?
This is a new variant of a known Pokemon.
Right. We didn't get to hear what the name of the area is, but like, what is the Galarian form, Alolan form kind of thing? I would like to see Dragonite. I think a Dratini Dragonite line. I'd like to see what they would do with a different form of that. That's always been one of my favorite Pokemon. I'd also really like to see the next kind of form of the Nidoran line, both Nidoran lines. I'd like to see like a Nidoking, a Nidoqueen.
Sure.
I'm kind of ashamed that they didn't do that for Sword and Shield. You have King and Queen in there, and now you're in England with all the royalty bullshit. You could have absolutely done Galarian forms that made them even more royal looking. That would have been really neat. But I like those Pokemon a lot. I wouldn't even mind seeing an Abra extra form. Abracadabra, Alakazam. I mean,
Yeah.
those Pokemon did get a Mega Evolution, but they don't care about Mega Evolution anymore, so I kind of want to see where you might go with that. There are lots of good options,
Yeah, for
and
sure.
those are always fun to see old Pokemon that I like getting a second life, because then it makes me feel like I can use them again. Because when you got something like
Yeah.
Pokemon Home, it's like, well, I already have a level 100 Dragonite. Why do I ever need to use a Dragonite again? But when they let you say, okay, well, here's a new form of it, or here's a new evolution of it, then I like pulling those guys back out and seeing what they can do.
I've been seeing some rumors floating around at a November 18th launch.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that being a good time. That'd be great timing for us. We'd be able to get to play it over a Thanksgiving
Yeah,
break
come
and
back
then be
in.
ready for it for Game of the Year. That'd be
Yep.
awesome. Okay, Bobby, we still got a lot of news left, so let's move on.
Yeah, some of these we can breeze through.
Yeah, Epic bought Bandcamp, which
People are pissed.
I don't know if that's good or bad. It does seem like a lot of people are not happy with it. On one hand, you do have Epic Games, who is very against closed systems, as we're very well aware with their lawsuits with Apple.
Yeah.
I could see them keeping Bandcamp similar to what it is. But if you're buying a thing, you're buying a thing for a reason.
Well,
And
worse people could have done this.
yeah,
I mean, Epic's not great, right? They're a problem too in their own way, but
and they're becoming more of a problem for sure as they grow. Power corrupts. That's how it works. It is interesting that their last two big acquisitions are both music based. You bought Harmonix, and now you bought Bandcamp. Maybe Harmonix could do something cool with Bandcamp. I don't know. Maybe there's some deals that could happen there. But as a platform, Bandcamp being a platform for independent music and for people to try to go and make it on their own, you have to wonder. Yeah, you have to wonder how viable that still is when you've got a company as big as Epic now calling the shots with what happens with Bandcamp now.
Is this going to do something for Fortnite?
Well, sure. You could always just throw in more music to Fortnite. You could Fortnite is the thing that consumes all. Like everybody's going to put some stuff in Fortnite. I mean, Fortnite's done its concerts, live concert stuff. Maybe there's some kind of Bandcamp integration with that. I don't know.
I thought briefly, and this was really stupid, but I thought briefly that Epic would launch a streaming platform. Not only for music, but for actual streaming to take on Twitch and YouTube, where it had better revenue margins for streamers, but they also would let you use and give money back to like a clear line to these artists. If you use their music on streams, like they would get money for it.
That's interesting. I mean, Epic is certainly trying to be all those things to all those kinds of people. I can see them trying that. It's kind of scary how big Epic's gotten.
They're getting fast.
I kind of want to just go back and make more Gears of War.
I would, why not, right?
Remember the good old days where they just made video games, and now they're just so many things. We mentioned it earlier. The Steam Deck is out for some people, not for us. You don't get yours until Q2. I don't get mine until Q3, barring any other potential delays. But some people are getting their Steam Decks, and some people are getting their Steam Decks directly from Gabe Newell's hands, which is kind of interesting. He went around the Seattle area, and he's knocked on your door with his beard and his knives and said, "Here you go. Here's a Steam Deck." There was a really good story on Reddit where somebody said they just saw one of their neighbors getting a Steam Deck delivered by Gabe, and they just waved like, "Oh, hi, Gabe." And he's like, "Oh, hey, wait right there." And he just pulled out another couple Steam Decks, and he's like, "Here you go." And they're like, "We didn't even order these." He's like, "Yeah, it's great, right?"
Why couldn't that be him on your elevator getting up to your apartment?
Well, because I live in St. Louis and he lives in Seattle. It'd be a bit of a drive, but yeah, pretty neat. I guess it's neat. It's it's really neat for a very specific subset of people, right?
I mean, if you wanted the Steam Deck and Gabe Newell delivered it to you, I mean,
Do you think everybody who ordered a Steam Deck knows who Gabe
no,
Newell is?
no, dude, I don't
Yeah.
think people for the last 15, 20 years really knows much about him.
Yeah. I think that's fair. It's interesting though. Like somebody was talking about it on a podcast I was listening to. You had to be relatively savvy to get a Steam Deck. Like you had to have Steam. That's how you bought it,
Right?
and it's not something that's sold in the store. And I think that Valve can even kind of get away with letting this thing be janky, and it sounds like it's actually really solid.
Yeah.
Maybe the battery life's not super great. Maybe it has some problems here and there, but for the most part, this thing works. But even so, because it's a relatively niche product and you could only buy it in a pretty boutique kind of way, I think they could get away with it being not perfect because you have these people who really care and who want to be early adopters, which is why I kind of asked the question. I would imagine quite a few of them, maybe not all of them, but I would say quite a few of them know who Gabe Newell is because I think if you are a person who wants a Steam Deck, you have to be pretty in the know to even be aware of it and to know that you want one.
I think that what they've done well is they could have said this is a Switch, right? They could have done that, and people have been like, "I got a Switch. It's half the cost, a fraction of the cost." But
Yeah.
what they said is that no, we're going to put a gaming PC in your hands, and I think that market has had such an uptick that every YouTuber, like, that's the thing here is all these YouTubers covered this so much, and they routed people to, hey, if you want to get it, order on this day. It's going to go quick. And
Yeah.
so I agree and appreciate what you're talking about for sure. With like you have to have some understanding, but in an age where Valve no longer does really much to advertise their shit at all. I mean, like they just put Portal on the Switch
Yeah.
5 years after it's been out. And I
It's not
think,
even out yet. Let's who
yeah,
knows?
but even then, like this, I would say your stance that you're taking on it, I feel is way more relevant to the Index, which is their VR headset, like the most powerful headset you can get, where this since day one has been this is a $400 to $500 gaming PC that you can take with you. And for a lot of times when graphics cards and all these other components have been short and hard to get, for them to say we got a package you can dock hook up to your TV, you can install Windows on it. We don't give a fuck what you do with it. We're gonna give hey, you want to build a case for it? Here's the 3D printer. Like, go wild. I think that these YouTubers have just been all over this thing, whether it is a Switch killer.
And I think that's probably Valve pushing that too. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, we're not going to have a huge marketing campaign. We're not going to put this out in Walmart or anything like that. But you know what we can do? We can target some relevant streamers who know who are familiar with the audience that we're going after, and we can make some targeted deals that will get the people who need to know to know.
Yeah.
And in that sense, I think they've done a really good job. I just want mine so I can play video games on it.
My understanding is anybody who was in that initial shipment, Valve seems pretty confident, and so far, after they had that first delay, but anybody who's in that first wave is going to be done by the end of March, and then Q2 is going to be beginning in April, and I somehow have stayed in Q2, so I will have mine hopefully sometime in April, and we can do some stuff
Thanks,
with it there. But the other thing too is that they're giving you a 3-day window to order this, so you could pay $5 and get credit towards it, and walk away from your reservation and get your $5 back. And
Right.
I think that there's a lot of people who will just miss the email. I think there's a lot of people who will not go through with it. Like Johnny, for example, he's got a reservation right now, but he's not going to fulfill it. I mean,
He's a Steam Deck squatter.
He's a
Can't have
squatter, and I think that those are being returned to people. So you could be sooner than.
Yeah,
Who knows?
you might move up the queue. We'll see. I'm not banking on this thing until Q3, like they told me. And it's not like I'm hard up for some video games to play. I've got
Do you
plenty
think
of other video games to
you'll
play.
get your Steam Deck or your Playdate first?
That's a good question.
We were supposed to get Playdate early 2022.
Yeah, I think we'll probably get the Playdates first. They recently had an announcement about more stuff that developers can get, like an APK kind of thing. So I think they're getting closer to actually getting those things out. And it did sound like, hey, we'll have more news on the actual thing here soon. So I imagine that maybe within the next month or two, we'll probably hear a new thing about Playdate.
I hope so.
Let's keep going. We can move through these next two really quickly and then end on the PlayStation stuff. So we got a couple of delays. One of them being Advance Wars that happened today. As we mentioned at the top of the show, there's a little international incident going on with Russia and the Ukraine, and Nintendo has decided, hey, maybe we don't put out a game glorifying war as an actual war is going on. I would counter that with when's the last time a war wasn't going on, and give me my damn game.
I'm not 100% here, but if I'm not mistaken, didn't Advance Wars 1 originally come out on September 10th, 2001?
September 9th, but yes it did. And in fact, it got delayed or maybe even canceled in Europe. I can't remember, because the European version would have come out later. And so that was after the towers fell, and it's the same type of deal. Let's not bring out our cutesy war game while armed conflict is actively going on. So yeah, Advance Wars, specifically Advance Wars 1, is no stranger to being delayed because of real world events. And lo and behold, a collection that would have had a revamped version of Advance Wars 1 is now also getting delayed because of international events. So, bummer. Certainly a bummer. I know that's a game I'm looking forward to playing.
Same.
But I suppose it's understandable why this is happening. Nintendo did not give a date. They just said we'll be coming out later, and they'll announce that at a later time. We also got a delay for Square Enix's Forspoken, and they did give a date for that. That is moving to October 11th of this year.
My anniversary.
And a few days before my birthday. So that's there. I think that's probably good.
I got a news story for you.
Yeah?
I'll be around for your birthday this year.
Oh my. Are you divorcing your wife?
No, we're going to Canada.
You're going to join a convoy?
Yeah, we're going to join a convoy. But just because of the weather, we're going to go in September. So we'll be around in October for your birthday.
Well, hey, how about that? That's exciting.
Yeah.
So Forspoken, I think Square Enix has been putting out their games at some pretty bad times recently. You think about Babylon's Fall. You think about we'll talk about it here more in a second. But Stranger of what the fuck is that thing called? Stranger of Paradise, Final Fantasy Origins. These games are coming out around the time of Elden Ring and Horizon, and you probably shouldn't bring out your games around that time when they're going to get crushed by those other games. So I think this is probably a good idea for Square to go, you know what, maybe this game that we're pushing pretty hard with all of its cool tech, maybe we should kind of get that its own time slot. And they've pushed it back to October, and also it gives them some more time to keep cranking on it, which I think is probably good.
Yeah.
And they did show more of Forspoken at this PlayStation State of Play event, and we'll briefly touch on it then too. Last quick story before we get to that State of Play: Bobby Glover is coming to Steam.
Gloves off.
You gotta love the glove, as good old JR would say. Man. Have you ever played Glover?
I think so.
Really? I'm shocked.
I think it was rented.
You play as a glove with eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're a ball. I rented this game. I didn't like it.
I don't think
I
I'll.
love the character design. I think he looks great. But I thought that game controlled like absolute shit. And maybe that was just being on the N64. Maybe on the Steam version, an enhanced Steam version, it'll feel better. But I just think it's funny. I just think it's fun. Also, it's coming out on 420 because
Hell
of course
yeah.
it is. Of course it is. Um, yeah, that's a good time. Okay, let's end with the big news, and that was there was a PlayStation State of Play today. It was 20 minutes. Well, today, Wednesday. Um,
Is
it was
our
20 minutes
coverage
long,
going to be longer than the actual state of play?
almost assuredly, but hopefully not that much longer. We'll see. We'll see. I know. We want to usually stop this at midnight. We'll see what we can do. Let's run through what they showed.
Yeah.
First thing they showed was a new game from Capcom. God damn it, Bobby! Was this a fucking fever dream watching this? First, they showed off these mechs, these exosuits, and I went, "Oh God, did they not actually cancel Anthem? I thought Anthem was canceled. What are we doing?" And then it said Capcom, and then I went, "Wait a minute, Capcom bought Anthem? What? What happened? What's happening here?" And then some portal from just started spewing fucking dinosaurs.
Do you think it was at one point in time Dino Crisis?
I bet at one point in time it was a tech demo because this felt very much like the Sony Rubber Ducks tech demo of let's just keep throwing a bunch of rubber ducks and see how the physics makes them bounce around, because it was the same thing with just all these what's the blue raptor thing in Monster Hunter, the Velocidrome something.
Yes, it's that.
Yeah, it just looked like a ton of those that were starting to drop out of the sky.
They have the same fucking classes as Anthem.
And they really do.
You had your big
really
tank,
do.
you had your wizard storm type, you had your ranger type, and you had your warrior type. Like
it's just Anthem.
Because here's the thing. Anthem deserved and should have been better. It had such a good skeleton. And the concept of those classes in a mech form, really cool. And you were fighting in that like a lot of bugs and aliens, so I could see that like a dinosaur could become, like some sort of target here. This looks to be like a PvE squad-based game. I don't know what to expect. I don't know what to expect. Capcom has been pretty good lately. Maybe this will be fun.
I could see this being fun. It actually reminds me a lot of the Earth Defense Force games. Like that game had you fighting a bunch of bugs. This one has just you fighting a comical amount of dinosaurs. I just want to know more about what the fuck this is.
Did they give a time for it?
They did not. It is coming sometime next year. 2023 is all we heard, and it's coming to PS5 and PS4. So we'll see about that. Then they showed off some new Ghostwire Tokyo footage. That game is still coming later this month. Still spooky, still very colorful, and pretty cool. That game's also coming out on March 25th, so you either have that or Mouthful Mode. Those are your choices.
You know what I'm picking.
I also know what I'm picking. Next thing they showed was that Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin, a new trailer. The big news here is that there's a game. Yeah. The big news is that there is a demo that is out right now. You can go and download the demo and, I don't know, probably kill Chaos or something. Well, probably not kill Chaos. I think they're going to wait for the main game for you to kill Chaos, but you'll at least want to kill Chaos.
Is that exclusive to PlayStation?
No. Maybe? I don't know.
I'm checking right now.
Okay. You're not going to play it.
I played the demo.
Okay, yeah, you want to play the demo, but you're not going to play this game.
No, I've played the demo.
Yeah, but you're not going to buy this.
No, it's not on PC.
Okay. Yeah, so it is Team Ninja is making a Dark Souls looking game, and it's Final Fantasy, but everybody's wears t-shirts. I don't know. I don't know what the fuck this is, but It'll be interesting, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Then they showed off Forspoken. They just showed off a new gameplay trailer for that. It still looks really pretty. I still do not give a single shit about that game's story
I don't
or
know.
what's going on there, but it
Yeah.
does look pretty, and I like the way it moves. And
Yeah.
that's something, I suppose.
Yep.
So this wasn't a surprise to me. I've heard, because I'm the Gundam guy, I've seen this Gundam Evolution thing going around.
Is that what it's called?
I guess yes, it is called Gundam Evolution. I guess I didn't know that it hadn't gotten a Western release confirmed. So that's what this did. There's a network test kind of beta thing happening here relatively soon.
I just requested access to it on Steam.
Well, there you go. It's a 6v6 competitive shooter, and it's in first person. It doesn't.
It looks like Overwatch with Gundam.
It does. It absolutely does. It's got a few different competitive modes in it. There's like a area control mode and a domination mode, which I imagine is kind of just a deathmatch. It's not. That's not how I want my Gundams, but
yeah,
I'll probably end up playing this, and I think this is probably going to end up being a free to play thing with a lot of microtransactions in it. Probably a lot of loot boxes. So maybe it's something I'll give a shot. Although there's already a Gundam game that's free to play that has a bunch of loot boxes in it, and that's Gundam Battle Operation 2.
There's another Gundam game coming out.
Yeah,
SD Gundam Battle Alliance.
Yeah, now that's a Gundam game.
Well, that's like that. You know where I stand here. I would say that
very far away from anything
yes.
anime related.
But even me, a simpleton, an uncultured swine, knows that the best part of Gundam is to see the Gundam.
Yeah, but I think there's also something of embodying the Gundam, and I could see that being the first person thing. And, you're in first person, you won't see your Gundam, but you'll see lots of other Gundams and lots of other mobile suits out on the field. Yeah. We'll see. It looks really fast for a Gundam game. Like, mechs are kind of supposed to be big, chunky objects. And yeah, it does feel... I don't know. I'm gonna reserve judgment on that. I'll tell you, Bobby, as a Gundam fan, there aren't a lot of good Gundam games out there, and I don't know if this is a hard thing to make. Yeah, I think so. Let's move on. There was a big collection. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Cowabunga collection was announced for 2022 this year. Being worked on by Konami, the health club people, the makers people
of Silent
the occasional
Hill
video game people. So it's actually who is it? Digital Eclipse are the ones putting this together, this big collection together, and they're just getting help from Konami, who I believe owns the license for all the TMNT games. This thing, I believe, has 13 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles games in it. Going from arcades to NES games to Sega Genesis to Super Nintendo fighting game is in there too. There's a bunch of stuff. I can run down a couple here. Turtles in Time, for sure. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on the NES with the terrible water levels. Tournament Fighters is the fighting game. Fall of the Foot Clan, Manhattan Project. There's quite a few of them. It's coming to PS4 and PS5 this year. It's also coming to all the other systems. It was shown off as State of Play, but it's coming everywhere.
No update on that new Turtles game, though, right?
No. That's being made. Is that also being made by Digital Eclipse? Can't remember. That is also supposed to come out this year, but that has nothing to do with the collection. This seems cool. Apparently, it's going to be a lot like those Mega Man collections too, where it's got Japanese versions of a lot of these games. It's got I'm sure it'll have a bunch of artwork and concept stuff. I bet this is going to be a real good collection for somebody who wants to play these games.
Tribute Games is making that new Turtles game.
Okay. So that that TMNT Cowabunga collection seems like it's going to be a lot of game.
That's a lot of video game.
And that's pretty cool. There is a kaiju brawler game called Giga Bash that's coming to PS5 and PS4 this year. When I saw this, I thought this was what the we talked about it on our March preview, but there was that Way Forward game that was called I cannot remember the name. Dawn of the Monsters. That's what it was called. And yes. I thought, oh, is that this? Did it get rebranded as something? But no, this is a different kaiju fighting game.
God.
And it's being made by a different company. And I think it looks relatively good. And apparently coming out later this year on PS4 and PS5. Bobby, I want to have us do a quick impromptu AMA. Bobby, what is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure about?
JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is about a model named Jojo that is able to summon spirits of old to join him in his fight to bring fashion and justice to all around him.
Wow, that you know what? That's not too far off from what JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is. Did you read that somewhere?
No.
Okay. I don't know about the fashion part, but these characters are quite fashionable, but I don't think that's their MO is to bring fashion to people. I haven't seen a lot of JoJo.
It's weird looking.
It is very weird looking. It's a very specific looking anime. The thing with JoJo is that these characters, these muscly dudes, I don't know if they actually fight themselves at all, but they summon basically personas that are called stands. And there's a fire going on. Well, there's not a fire, but there's a fire.
We're having a fire sale.
What the hell's happening? Anyway,
just St. Louis things.
Yeah, just St. Louis things. Anyway, they call out these persona-like creatures called stands, and the stands fight for them. Anyway, we're getting a fighting game. It's called JoJo's Bizarre Adventure All-Star Battle R. There have been JoJo fighting games in the past. This one touts that it will have 50 playable characters, which seems like a fucking lot of characters.
That's a lot.
My question, similar to the way Dragon Ball FighterZ was presented, how many of these characters will be named JoJo? Because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that there are lots of kind of versions of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and there's different people named JoJo, and I think his name is Jojo Joestar.
God damn it!
And I think his father might also be called Jojo, and maybe he also has a son named Jojo.
Call me Jojo. My dad was Joseph Joe.
Yeah,
I'm Joseph Joe Jr.
There's a lot of different JoJos, and there's like a lot of different eras of JoJo. So in a way, I kind of want to see how many JoJos make up the 50 playable characters. If you
don't know, now you JoJo.
Now you JoJo. I like that. That's good. Good. I'm gonna write that down. If you don't know, now you JoJo. While I'm doing that, Bobby, why don't you talk a little bit about the trailer that was shown for Trek to Yomi? Because I know we're both pretty hyped about that.
This game dropped a trailer last year. I want to think around E3 time. It's a Devolver game. It is a 2D, maybe like a 2.5D, side-scrolling Kurosawa-esque fucking samurai story.
But like real Kurosawa-esque, not Ghost of Tsushima. We put a filter, a black and white filter over something. This game's built from the ground up to be black and white. It's got the film grain to it. It seems like it's really going for that.
It's like, hey, Casual Hour, we heard that you have a style category and we want to fucking own it. Here's our game. It looks like it's got a fucking just feel to it, man. The fighting is so neat. I wonder if it's going to riff a little bit on, like, is it going to be more arcade friendly or is it going to be more Sifu challenging is what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah, I could see it being like a karateka style one hit kills
Yep.
and almost like not necessarily a Dark Souls thing, but being a very I could see it being very challenging, or even having like a challenge mode that would be like one hit kills. See that?
It looks really, really slick. I'm surprised too because in this trailer they showed off. Well, what I thought was really cool is they did a cast call and it looked the part and was really, really well done. But they ended it with a spring deadline, which I think we're going to be getting this game very soon, and I cannot wait.
Yeah. I'm kind of surprised they just said spring. Like at this point, if it's coming out spring, tell us a date because it's like we're
Yeah,
in spring, baby. Like how many far off dates can you possibly say that are still spring? But yeah, I'm really excited for this game. It's one I'm probably the most anticipating in all of 2022,
totally.
and it still looks good from this trailer. I'm glad we got an update on it. Speaking of updates on games, Returnal is getting an Ascension update, 3.3.0 update that's coming later this month, March,
Yep.
where it will be getting campaign co-op and a challenge mode, I believe, is what they said. Are you interested in playing Returnal in co-op?
I would love to play it that way. I think that would be a really cool way. If Elden Ring has taught me anything, it's that having somebody to endure that with makes it a lot more palatable, but also creates an interesting approach to what could seemingly be a pretty difficult experience.
Yeah, I could see that. And Johnny also has Returnal, right?
He
So
does.
maybe you two can play that together.
I would like that.
Um, all right, two more things, both Square Enix announcements, both both just
Start with the
in,
second one first.
incredible. Okay, okay, we'll do that. What PlayStation thought was the big title, but to us is not the big title.
Yeah.
The last thing they showed was called Valkyrie Elysium, and that got revealed also for PS4 and PS5. Nobody's making straight PS5 games. I think they all know there aren't enough PS5s out there to make that work,
Yeah.
which is kind of a bummer. Like we got some of I have new hardware, so obviously I want the games to look as pretty as possible. But we do need to get to a point at some point where it's like, well, why did anybody buy a PS5 if all we're getting is slightly better load times? Wouldn't we? Should we get better games? Anyway, that's a conversation for another time. Valkyrie Elysium. This game's coming out in 2022. It is part of the Valkyrie Profile series, which I know Bobby is
I don't know
you're the
anything.
biggest. If anybody profiles as Valkyrie, it's Bobby P. So I'll tell you what. It's a it's a series of RPGs. I actually haven't played any of them, Bobby. If that makes you feel better, but I hear they're good, and I would like to play them at some
I'm looking
time.
it up right now.
And they kind of as the Valkyrie would imply, they center around Norse mythology, which I know you're a big fan of now that you've played God of War. So
Yeah.
you love them Norse things.
It had more of like a cell shaded look to it, third person action RPG style.
It's this game is really interesting where it looked like it really had high quality visuals, but I wouldn't call it cell shaded, but everything did have like a black outline around
Yeah.
it, and it made for a very weird looking game, striking looking thing.
Yeah, it's very odd.
Yeah, very odd. This is whereas those other games were more, I think they were turn based RPGs or maybe like an active time battle kind of thing. This game is a straight up action RPG. It looks to be similar to something like a Bayonetta kind of thing,
Yeah.
or like a Devil May Cry. Maybe not quite as actiony as those games are, but you're definitely pulling off big crazy power moves on enemies there. It seems kind of neat. That is coming out sometime this year. And then the other thing they showed, not the last thing, but the last thing we're going to talk about here, is a new strategy RPG from Square Enix that had me going. at first going, "Oh, is this Final Fantasy 16? Are they finally showing more of that?" And then went, "No, this doesn't look good enough to be Final Fantasy 16." And then I saw Tactics shit happening, and went, "Oh fuck, are they making a new Final Fantasy Tactics?" And then
that's what I thought.
They're not. But that is what I thought too. They're not. They're not making a new Final Fantasy Tactics, but what they are making is a new tactical strategy game, and it's called the Dio Field Chronicle, whatever the fuck that means.
Dio Field Triangle Strategy.
Yeah, basically, it really did feel a lot like Triangle Strategy. There's 3 nations.
Yes.
It's like, what? You guys know you just put out this kind of game.
It felt like it was like, I want to make out with Fire Emblem.
Yeah, a little bit. But it's not HD 2D. This is
HD.
Full polygons. This just HD. Yeah, just HD, no 2D. I think it looks kind of interesting. The one bit of actual gameplay they showed off showed 4 units that all looked like they were kind of being controlled at once, or like selected at once, and they all moved at the same time, and they were crossing over a bridge area. And as they were starting to cross over, the player chose one of them, a guy on a horse, and picked a specific skill, as everyone else was still, like, it froze the action. And then he picked a specific kind of rush skill, and then that guy rushed through and hit a bunch of enemies, and then it seemed like it went back to the normal time, and those other characters continued to start going over the bridge. So I wonder if it's kind of like this weird mix of turn-based strategy and real-time strategy. Maybe they'd call it an active time strategy thing. Who knows? But it seemed kind of interesting, and I want to see more. It also seems like it has big summons. There was some big summon that somebody brought in, a big dragon that absolutely